Hi, so we're here at Säkerhetspodcasten at the community part of the conference, and we're here with Anton and Christoffer, who just gave us the last talk for the evening, and it was quite a bombshell.
All right, thank you. Last but not least.
Yeah. Last but not least.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool. Like you sort of introduced a new bug class, but at the same time not really introduced, but sort of showcased a method of sort of chaining a bunch of already known classes. Yeah. Can we just do like a short excerpt for those who didn't watch the talk on the stream? It's super short.
Elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Elevator pitch. Well, you're able to insert a lot of bad stuff into something you think is good.
Yeah.
And this is about JavaScript we're talking.
Yeah.
And JavaScript tend to have methods for input validation that we think we can bypass.
Yeah. That's a good gist of it, right?
Yeah.
So we were looking at, like, obviously you guys, I think you did a really nice, like, pretty like, this is not that bad. It's like you had a pretty like
cool
nice
attitude.
way, like a cool attitude of addressing it. And I don't really think that everyone actually got that this could potentially be really, really bad. You had some, like, you did your move.
The famous move, right?
The famous move.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It's yes, maybe it's a bigger thing that for me, since we've been working on this over a year.
Yeah.
For us, it's not like we've been through this so many times now.
Yeah.
And then at first during the research, we actually didn't find any other research on this for almost a year. So we thought, like, this is something really new, and then just maybe like a couple of weeks ago, where we found out that
there was more.
There was something on this that we hadn't found, and I mean that's an issue itself, because we found something and we couldn't find any research about it. So it was something, but then we also realized, well, it wasn't that downer, but it was more like, oh shit, right now there's some other research on this that we try to introduce as something completely new, because it's not like completely new, it's just that nobody knows about it.
Yeah, but being in the field of security, you have to be sort of humble, right?
Yeah. Sure.
If you walk in and you yourself define that this bug class is the bomb, this is the worst thing that can happen, and it turns out that you're wrong, you're gotta get a lot of flack for it, because you cannot exaggerate these things, right?
And that's dangerous as well. Like, that will not be inclusive either in the community, right? So if you dictate the terms of something that you don't really know, that will backlash.
We didn't have much to back down on until a few weeks back, when we found that other research by Aaron Hammer, and he said, this is devastating.
Yeah.
And then when we started pre-posting saying that, okay, this is coming up on SecT on Twitter, there was people replying, is this the same thing as this research? And we're like, what's that research?
Oh, that's good. So you actually got valid input from that.
Yeah.
But was it associated to the topic, or was it a completely different thing?
Yeah, so we talked about a bug class today that's called HPA, that's hidden property abuse. That bug class was presented in 2020, I think, at Black Hat. But the guy who runs that Twitter account and he's been pushing that research hasn't got a lot of attention for it. But so we had missed it completely. But that bug class have almost identical type of attacks around it as the ones that we're using. Okay. And that was inspiring us to be able to start defining how bad can it get.
Yeah.
But I have to ask.
Yeah.
Because this is, you spent a year on this.
Yeah.
How did it start?
No, but we have to stop. We have to dig deeper. Having focused for a year with no Google results, and just like a couple of frameworks, or how did it start? Like you mentioned, you did a black box thing, you found something, you called the wizard of JavaScript Anton. Anton looked at it, and you sort of combined forces, like, this is bad, but you didn't have that much to go on, right?
Yeah.
Like you reached out and you said, like, this must be something, right?
Yeah.
Like, this
As you
can't
do.
be. Yeah, exactly.
This has to be something, right?
And I said, like, no, it's not. And I mean, even though we've been working on this for a year, we haven't been dedicated 100% of our day.
No, but of course, but it's like a pet project.
Yeah,
for
but it was weird,
yeah.
like searching for, because everything ended up in what's called prototype pollution, which is a different thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing at all.
Yeah. No, and that's how it all started. We tried to do prototype pollution, and we wanted to get there. We wanted to do it, and I didn't understand. I was like, I'm doing everything right. This should work.
Yeah.
And it's not working. What the hell?
Is happening? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Then you can, So you tried like just to dumb it down, I guess. Like, so you're trying one attack vector, like one concept of an attack, and it's failing, but it shouldn't be failing actually. And then you start that will be like the rabbit hole then. So that's where you dig deeper and sort of came to the conclusion that holy something, this is something else.
Yeah, and the funny thing that I find really, really weird is that we found this in a package called Joy. We found this in that package. It's in a lot of other packages, like we confirmed a bunch of others too. But it all started with Joy for the other researchers as well. When we found other researchers, they also found exactly that bug too, like in 2019.
That's interesting.
Like for some reason,
I think it's probably because it's a very famous library.
It's the most popular
JavaScript,
one.
that's the one you use, and it's supposed to be
and
super secure.
everyone thinks it's secure. I mean, it has the credibility of this guy Aaron Hammer, who did a lot of research on it, and they don't mention this vulnerability anywhere on the site. They don't have any recommendations to how to really use it to avoid the vulnerability, and that means that everyone's doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's sad that when you check the package, I mean the Joy package doesn't have any vulnerabilities at all. If you search for
that's weird though.
Yes, it's really weird. So they found the vulnerabilities and they just said no.
That's weird.
We're not going to do anything about that. It's not going to be reported anywhere, and people don't know about this.
They confirmed it.
Yes, they confirmed it, and so. And that was just the start of the rabbit hole.
Have you? Maybe you don't want to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Have you tried to just, like, in my idea is like, automate everything and just shoot wherever and see what you get back?
Yeah,
just for fun.
It's a relevant question, and that's a question that a lot of people are asking. And I know that others have. So we've been asking bug bounty people selectively to investigate this, and they found practically nothing because random brute forcing doesn't get you very far.
Oh yeah, so you have to have
the source code. You need to know what you're exploiting. Okay. So you need to be aware of the application because you need to know what prototype to replace.
But however, there are also
because it's
But then you have like the common keys like try with eval, command cmd, so you could kind of brute force this as well. We haven't really done that.
We have not. No.
Or there is it's the request way, like sending a request back and forth. The other way is to blindly just recursively look through repositories looking for like a sync, because that could be like toString for example, like you can that could be a thing that you can automate pretty quick.
So we wrote a blog post about how we would go about to do that, and that we published today, and in that blog post we mentioned that.
Where can you find the blog?
On my website jerkeby.se.
Oh, boom.
Yep. So if you go there, there's examples of things that you could search for in CodeQL, for instance, a sync defined to go for these are the inputs and these are the sources that would be relevant.
That will be pretty cool, eh? Because that like for the bug bounty community, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, this is what you need, and
if you have code assisted scopes though.
But if you do have a few exploits that you have found using code scanning, you can blindly search for those exploits in applications that seems to be using those libraries.
Oh yeah, sure, because
right. So if you have an
that
input
would make sense because you have the reference.
Yeah. So then you can just do this with on mass everywhere.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So for example, in the QS library, the question library, they fixed the proto keys just in February this year. Yeah.
Not everyone's patched.
No,
of course not.
So that's of course something you would search for, like a previous version of the package.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like I should mention that in HPA there is in that research, if you go and look for the paper called Hidden Property Abuse, there is a tool And that tool have made a scanning engine for scanning code with symbolic execution, where you can scan for behavior in JavaScript that would indicate that you can overwrite values in properties. It doesn't go for prototype poisoning, because he wasn't aware of that at the time. But we got in touch with him recently, and maybe that's a feature that could be added to that tool, so we could have a combined tool to search for all three of these bug classes, or maybe do it in CodeQL potentially. I mean, it's just a conceptual thing now.
The thing is, when I look at you did like this graph where you sort of, we're here now, like this roadmap thing. I'm not really sure how it's different yet. For the classes that you mentioned, I don't I know the idea of it, but I couldn't grasp the concept how it's different.
I mean, everything goes.
It's just
down
like a flavor, no?
Yeah, everything goes. Yeah, it's kind of this. Like
how you send in the input.
Yeah.
So the input object. Let's say the input object is always JSON, or not. Yeah.
I could, for the sake of this, it's always JSON.
So in our case, we are writing the word proto and setting the proto, and we're setting its members. That's what you do in poisoning, and that means that you will set it in runtime. It will be set in runtime. In prototype pollution, it's set in a different way, where you have different variables, where you have to be very lucky, frankly, to find 3 different variables or 3 different levels of variables, and replace those with proto and a name, or double proto if you want to go higher in the hierarchy, and the value of what you want to poison it with. And in the last case with HPA, you don't bother with prototypes at all. You simply just type in the thing you want inside of the input. So you have username, password, and then debug, true, And that seemed to work well as well for the people behind that research. So they're doing things like searching for _ID or constructor : name. That seems to be things that makes things crash. So
so that's probably the same thing you can do here, but you put it in the proto object instead. Because that should possibly work.
That's pretty cool. How does this feel though? Like
exciting,
right?
Really exciting.
It's a new frontier opening up, really. I mean, we recently realized that you can combine these 3 bug classes, like the 3 musketeers of pain, really, because that means that you can change the control flow in different places in the application.
Could potentially be really impactful. Like I've known this for 15 minutes now, 20, and I'm sort of like, this is like, I don't want to give you like all the credits and all the balloons and glory, but it looks pretty solid, and it looks like, how has this not been detected before?
Looks like
why?
It could be nasty.
No, but why? Is that JavaScript is everywhere? Why?
I think there is one thing that we need to talk about, and that's the fact that there was prototype poisoning reports in 2018 that never went public because they were going towards the Node.js bug bounty program, and they paid for having those reports not disclosed.
Okay.
And
that's shitty.
Yeah, so it's just the language is broke, and that was also what Aaron Hammer said. Like the language is kind of broken. It's just the way it is.
But sure, we have said about cross-site scripting and like whatever, right? So we have, but it's like,
there's probably a way, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that was the thing I mentioned about the bug bounty. I don't want to blame or deflect bug bounty completely.
That could be a reason for sure.
If we go about this in a more sort of academic way and actually document this bug class properly, that would mean that others could search for it and find the information. For us, it was pretty hard because people were using the wrong names all the time. A lot of times when people do prototype poisoning, they write prototype pollution because they don't know that poisoning exists or what the difference is.
No, because that's my idea now. From like just a grasp of it, I don't really know the difference, and that's think I'm not alone in that. I think that's pretty common for everyone. So we need maybe a good SEO and get a lot of people to sort of get into this and so I think it makes a lot of sense for you guys to sort of, we're here and we can, so you sort of dictate that we can chain these, but they are not the same. I think that is a really good input for the presentation of this class. In order to sort of set the...
But go read the blog post, frankly, because we try to define it and distinguish it, even though we realize that it's very, very hard to get the grasp anyway. It's a load of text, frankly. I mean, it's hard for me to grasp either one of these. And seeing presentations about it, it's like you have to understand the language you're working with, and that's not funny for a pen tester.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. No, but to be frank, that's true. I want a tutorial, I want an example, and I want to make a proof of concept quick.
Eventually we'll get there. There will be ways of doing this quicker. There will be pre-made exploits probably around this that will make it easier, and there will probably be much better research than one we did. But you have to give, like, the foundational research for a new bug class is always a door opener into a chain of things that defines things more in stricter ways.
So where do you think we'll be in like a year from now when it comes to researching this?
Hopefully we'll see a lot more like reports and of prototype poisoning, and not just say that this is, for example, prototype pollution when it's not. That's something I really want to see. Like, we're getting actually reports. It would be nice to also to like make the people who's using Joy aware that this vulnerability exists. If you don't fix it, it's gonna be there. Because right now, I mean, the latest version is still vulnerable.
Yeah, and the documentation says nothing about it.
No, exactly. So
they have the help right there. I mean, they have written the library to help you, Born. That's there, and you can use it, but they don't refer to it, so it's not so easy to find it. It would be a simple patch, frankly.
But also combining these vulnerabilities together, like even though they're kind of the same stuff, but they're not. I was just like setting up a CTF for this before this presentation, and I just took a random library, which I just wanted to like do some basic stuff with it, and I realized I both have prototype poisoning and prototype pollution in this application. Yeah. So in that case, I mean, you're using both. I haven't tried like the HPA yet, but there's probably something I can use in the same way. So I think we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see like more reports using these together, because I mean, often the prototype poisoning which we presented today is a way in to get these other vulnerabilities, because you're just sending in like keys that shouldn't be there. It's
that little wedge that you put in the crack.
No, but I think it's a nice door opener altogether. I think that this is I think I really prefer this kind of disclosure of a class, because it's like it is not common if you think about it. Like this is just my opinion, but it tends to be a lot of high horses that needs to be ridden when you sort of found something like this. But then you sort of I really get that, but that it comes from experience, I guess, for you guys, that not claim anything that you can't back up right now. And be humble about the knowledge that you actually gained about this, which I think is really inspiring, which is really cool. No, but it is, because you tend to. I really like this kind of change in our community, because when I started,
I agree.
It was really not. We didn't include anyone if you weren't the lead one. So you need to sort of earn your spot, and you're doing the complete opposite, and that is awesome. Sharing what you have, but it needs to be said.
But we have been talking about it. We have been talking about trying to be part of that change, and one part of it is...
You do it great. I think it's awesome, and you should really hear that.
Thank you.
And like sharing, this is good. Really nice.
I mean, sharing the knowledge for free is one. Also having references to our priors, the people who actually inspired us.
And that's important as well.
That's one part of it, and trying to contribute to the solution. I know we haven't done it much yet, but we try to, really.
And I think that's an awesome note to call this a night. What do you think, guys?
Thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you for sharing this awesome research.
Right.
We're looking forward for the future.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
With a bit of anticipation. It's like,
hey, let's break things.
The internet might burn tomorrow. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Cheers, guys.